A skilled woman hunts daily in the African wilderness, taking down wild chickens with a single arrow from several meters away. This hefty wild chicken is enough to satisfy her hunger, allowing her to savor a pot of stew even in the wild. Would you be up for such a survival challenge? This challenge unfolds in Mozambique's African wilderness, a wildlife park for the skilled. In this wild setting, you could enjoy endless feasts, but you might also end up as lion prey. Despite the risks, two brave souls have arrived to test their limits for over 20 days, with a $100,000 prize at stake. One of them is Brooke, the wife of wilderness survival expert Mark. She has learned a lot of survival skills from her husband. This time, she aims to prove herself. This duo is determined and resilient, teaming up to win the prize. Dylan, the young newcomer, brings fresh energy. So what sparks will fly in this wilderness survival challenge between a young woman and a fresh-faced man? Brooke, upon arriving, couldn't wait to shed her restraints. The color of her little vest is quite eye-catching. Dylan, however, appears calm and collected. He even encountered a large animal on his way. When Brooke first met Dylan, she thought he seemed young and awkward, like when she first met her husband. Though she said it was awkward, she was actually thrilled inside. After meeting, they got to know each other, boasting about their impressive skills. The show provided them with a pot and a fire starter. Dylan brought a machete, while Brooke brought a hunting bow. Dylan, also a hunter, was excited to see Brooke with a bow. Throughout the process, they were quite reserved given the situation. They needed to walk 5 kilometers to their challenge destination. On their way, they encountered snakes, lions, and other dangerous animals, making the journey itself a challenge. They climbed a high point to survey the area. Luckily, there was no sun, but the scene was very desolate. They couldn't find any water sources. On the way, they found a snake skin, indicating the possible presence of a large snake nearby. To find water, they had to trek 5 kilometers through treacherous terrain. Descending the mountain was tough too. As they rushed along, the weather suddenly turned bad. Walking barefoot on the dry ground felt like being scouted. They saw many turkeys on the way. It was a great hunting opportunity, but unfortunately, they missed it. After trekking for hours, they found water. Brooke collected some, but they didn't plan to build a shelter there. It was risky since many animals came to drink there, so they moved a few hundred meters away. It was suitable for building a shelter. They started collecting wood to build it. The area was quite open. They needed a lot of wood to ensure their safety. To my surprise, they built a compact shelter. Stones were piled around the shelter's entrance. It was so tiny, how could 2 people lie down inside? Unless they intended to sleep sitting up. By 6, the African wilderness turned terrifyingly dark. They needed to start a fire quickly to keep wild animals away. As night fell, they covered themselves with dry grass and slept by the fire. They occasionally heard animal sounds outside, which scared them and kept them awake. Morning finally came. Dylan went to fetch water while Brooke stayed at the shelter, still shaken by the previous night's events. Brooke gathered firewood close to the shelter, working to enhance their camp. Dylan returned with a pot of water. He spotted some cattails nearby, which are edible and can be roasted or used medicinally. Dylan gathered a few to bring back. For breakfast, they ate cattails, which made Brooke very happy. The white roots can be eaten raw. Though not as tasty as meat, having something to eat was still good. After breakfast, Dylan took his bow and went out hunting. From the shelter, Brooke spotted wild boars roaming around, but Dylan had taken the bow. The African wilderness was unforgiving. Brooke crafted shoes from animal hide, hoping they'd hold up. Dylan went to the water's edge, hoping to hunt a bird to make soup. But hunting wasn't as easy as he thought. Dylan kept searching for prey around the area, even from a distance. They always noticed him, likely because the wind carried his scent. The birds would smell him and fly away, leading to repeated hunting setbacks for Dylan. His spirits were crushed. Meanwhile, Brooke was thrilled at the shelter, having just crafted a pair of shoes. With shoes, he didn't have to worry about sharp objects anymore. Dylan crouched by the water, waiting for birds. Finally, a chance came, but a boss bird came to drink and scared them away. Fortunately, Dylan, still naive, didn't complain. The midday sun was scorching. Dylan continued to hunt outside despite the heat. Luckily, he found a fruit tree with plenty of wild fruits. He collected a lot and brought them back to the shelter around 4 p.m., bringing back many fruits. Lacking meat, they had to rely on fruits. Dylan always returned with something, while Brooke could rest. The fruits were tasty, and they drank lots of water. After eating, Brooke went to sleep since daytime rest was crucial. At night, wild animals circled the shelter, keeping them awake. During Dylan's night watch, a spark ignited the shelter, and the dry grass they used for bedding made the fire spread rapidly. Dylan couldn't control the blaze and the shelter was destroyed. It was intense. Luckily, they eventually put out the fire. By the third day, the shelter was in ruins. In the coming days, they had to be more vigilant about fires. The area was so dry that it was easy for fires to start. After days of hunger, they had to rebuild the shelter. This was extremely exhausting, especially for Dylan, who had to shoulder most of the heavy work. Even though Brooke gathered leaves, Dylan remained exhausted. Learning from their past mistake, they constructed the new shelter with green branches and grass. Once done, Dylan fetched a pot of water. The new shelter was very comfortable and cool inside. By the fourth day, Brooke chose to hunt while Dylan stayed at the shelter, crafting spiked fur pants. Night watches left him very tired, so he could only rest during the day. Brooke went out hunting and saw many wild chickens nearby. He aimed and shot an arrow, but unfortunately missed. The sun outside was scorching, making his skin feel like it was burning. Dylan was resting in the shelter when he suddenly felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. Brooke looked busy and hoped he was okay. At night, Dylan kept vomiting. By the fifth day, he was very thirsty early in the morning. It was likely due to dehydration or contaminated water. It's only the fifth day, and he's already in this condition. How can he survive 21 days? Dylan's been collapsing often since yesterday. On the sixth day, Dylan's condition hadn't improved. He vomited some seaweed-like strands. Seeing his state, it was clear how much he was suffering, but Brooke didn't know what to do. Dylan had been vomiting for over 36 hours. Seeing him wake up, Brooke called a doctor. Due to toxins in the contaminated area, yes, I'm done, I'm too weak. I really hope to face this challenge with my partner. I really don't want him to leave. I didn't expect today to turn out like this. You can do it. Thank you. I wish I could do it with you. After examining him, the doctor suspected the water here had many bacteria. He might have swallowed some raw water while swimming, causing bacteria to enter his lungs. In the end, Dylan had to leave due to illness. Brooke stayed on to face the challenge alone, needing to survive 21 days by herself. In the shelter, she constantly heard the sounds of wild animals. Brooke didn't dare to sleep at night. On the seventh day, she went out hunting as usual. By the ninth day, she needed to improve the shelter daily to ensure safety at night. Hunting here was really difficult. Brooke gradually lost confidence in hunting. Bored, she sunbathed outside. The temperature difference at night in Africa was significant. Even with fur, she shivered from the cold. Soon, it was the 11th day. Brooke stayed alive by drinking water daily. She spotted many fish and attempted to shoot them with her bow and arrow. On the 15th day, she spent an hour hunting daily but never succeeded. By the 17th day, it started raining heavily. She had to stay in the shelter for 24 hours. On the 18th day, Brooke looked at a photo Matt had given her. A strong man's wife holding her tools, but she had no success. She went out hunting every day. Despite the abundance of prey, she couldn't catch any. Days passed by. Brooke could only drink water to survive. In a place full of prey, she couldn't get any protein. One day, while getting water, she spotted several wild birds. She aimed her bow, took a shot, and this time, she hit one. What amazing fortune! Brooke admired her successful shot and headed back to the shelter. Tonight would be a feast. That night, she ate meat in the shelter. After being hungry for so long, she finally had a big meal. The 21st day arrived, marking the end of the challenge. At dawn, Brooke packed her belongings. The extraction point was 5 kilometers away. She had to trek 5 kilometers to the extraction point, constantly on guard against dangers. Surviving on water and hunger, she faced a perilous journey. She survived the 21 days and, despite finally getting some luck with a pot of stew, she truly earned the $100,000 prize. In the end, Brooke successfully reached the destination. So, who will come to challenge next time? Stay tuned for the next video update.
数を一女あら旧姓、多政策取り、刀剣医師、仮奇通へ両美美まとかに、打刀領10万金、敵あら旧姓、総区参加、本気井戸地点ゼスミ西海岸的一座あら、妹子各音勢一名警察、蘇院高知テピ失去地号終直接員病態給料、年、5月抱き校耐久金、参加あら旧姓男的教官、税一名野外生存好み者、栗敵目的修税領井戸寺が、弁だげ10万金、小原山石尿砂漠カンカン園、山帝林非常王、自家長子、在理生存費総称仲間とな、人至る目的地号用歩行僭越林区域、全号採用方面、小吉子面号1、卓的予想異有刀は高き、 一時多追善没有、多用途保護行利害的目的地行為度、陽越山県内至る面海岸、小正し宇宙馬。他不要面縁的高温、幼少心里的有毒物、間非常単心角抜く罪状加害や不重罪路上、間未統一古希八、里至ると税有的気法女化した等、豪華不乾燥財布と肯定した構想、間全身と是下辣々的核温、間身体的水分海洋飛球完了、やいに北的身体はじめ脱水。ごとか身体、海洋一中所、座ミキースカ賞、丹瀬山脚本一小又一小とぼ、至る利的山島こと的太総領、客釜とトゲとくた、走り一歩とふ、下後三点的項、タウハ棟梁山、三上的一錆びた間非常鈴海、単層至る有一半的路要層、監修瞬間不総領、10日五六点的項、多没草下山、格音安財里や不是公的、多大有国利、総領一点と没相当、多財付近利用祈祷。当県領一子久し書、多州もたきき水、伊須賀海来当領第二点、多作州もたきき水領一点一相多州はじめろ領、作点至る財と没有活水、多90重水分、多高走り的非常満、一歩都間容量自己まとめ、各音身体はじめ中嫌い、是神、受容会。ク肌肉デオサム的信号、中馬まと温度非常項、多全味仮面的味、単是拒否、心的外他一個没単価挙、多財里一個岩石道口、道口里あり水流出庫小水庫、多非常失望、左水不是流的、不能食用、間打着一辺可能在石里流的水、用可能性一左水角温活、左水非常補正点、迂回開会活量、急速一回合、多浮棟梁会、査定した非常合刀剣壁路、ところ没有ふとちょっさら、税地庫イスカコのみまと天然非食、刀剣久しところ非常、直接用可能在底した即下、大統領上、里非常大間と沢虫子、上他非抵抗的非常外、ネポン終没放水、不女水神さん上除服、他総勝美化、化石根本終点付着、没法津否定量一、作新庄飛行まとみぜ、気象号、間治む終了滝、要来根的各音や治む終了滝芝、インタや非公領、不意寒創造、成没有価会、他希望根天皇博士嫌い、間波種かな法在久しところや上、会社雨、在治む収集かな的公、金城雄一蜜蜂、間直接束大たる新税地庫不死的人、人間在帰り逃避、非税旧否定まと是法、否定まと両一辺、是両嫌い、間間一、各音絵師大東大支店、多着と没成功生活、白天イサゴ非常足、多不意寒走り出居。多牛ゲル交渉器量家、大東第五点、作雨家、多水徳彦のみ、五点没有きついたる西、多はじめ関東有点量、各音田三強的点下にきつ、左上至るとぜこかに、単多走り的非常会、総用常等他不ぜ。古高知小的人在左上区庫、都没法相当一ただかに、多神的非可に名、暴活良好気故障、うつね棟梁一ただ消化に、各温厚的不徳量、ただかに間喫、ただ陽越行、喫領有力才能足、各温化に直接法材目誕生、里面的重益不定魔と摘出、不要区に一化に勝つ、神的な未量。周小馬と一子かにた一根かにももとぼつあり法、印税た上以来吉的才盛的一子さん、大統領上、今没有重、人在水的公、久しどころ里で一ただ多くも、かつ長楽在閣音的心情、公領一口、大東第六点、各音作非具も高統領後、好み没重大下、単是作飛行馬と是心的通、間下辣々的、ごとか根点細味で、一定用波量吉、人在非ところりや不感、周水水量点、イスカ海区統領、大区点、多点在久し処理根吉投資、間打三政策小鳥かに、多定一小り小一小鳥かに、古不動型的海区は鳥間と成功性、不是他没有技能、ただの他在多量、他派公的法在岩石上、希望能的統一坂に、大重点的公、多間、全時没有重治む、多級樹単白期重能量、単重と常不当、ただの腹子量、大東第11点、各音順政策一個が、関西三条一差大的意志、範囲視非常交代力、万一送付至るもの、力周波量、単量のきつ上単白、たなり太く不幸、陽一差のかつく、遠物きつかこまとこう。 周回触り装置非積子、是再現子的仮装置、その是非常有効的、週間物の可感不感狩猟、夜的高火前有物も多金、核音倉庫間、客意外等量客、新瀬等、多等等等火量、大東第12点、核音的足作費労量、野周意味着節下来塗用量、ことと用もた間小短、う有利よし至る細合量、他主的小短期間化的重要人。間ただ工事ここみ、間、没有触り、里面的過去引きつ量不詳。間回答久し助合芝か没量、多用治む修行多敵騎芝、是一見体力かつ。間気候一山と在治む修木材、両将義芝的使用量、白天間と交渉1点、イスカ海区棟梁第15点。間天的勢力と花材料治む修木芝新城、各音や棟梁間的真空、多表示間税一名非常防的とも、因多没有いや事故、間着間。真空、我大化不筆加齢ほか、大統領第18点、各音的客や好み両意方、単税スカ2、多不走工作、換金至ると寛容私的心という、自己天類、食物没液不要、金用粉油一般。大東第20点、名店修是鉄的日誌。各音材秘書理官棟梁なただ高多的雲、今天樹税をあだ的広角音だ危機根収欲も官僚嫌い、修是ただ雲多通量1、くちばしともえ上的線が非常恐怖、樹是角抜く旧的項、各音直接小法罪過剰、狼も的淡白相当一辺ますね、全間嫌いイスカシン、単税お嫌い的未動ゼフマと、きつかつ。早合格音順制作一層鈴靴、明天鉄な順、大東第21点、今天ゼタ鉄的日誌、多様至る外一辺未東体救援、乖離有で没、虚前不税すか、非是非常間と危う、六地活、有水海活、引く的工場副多量、鉱材西郷他茂る高棟梁鉄店、完全ゼモター至る西郷、全打棟梁10万金、単没あり定で多項的旧正技能、下一機械有海大。三回度、期待しも一期的更新。